Over 3.5 years ago, I chose the Glock 19 Generation 5 for my everyday carry piece. Up to that point, I'd tried a lot of different firearms and usually carried something for 6 months maybe and then went looking for something new. I really liked the fact that it was a higher capacity 15 round type of firearm and had the ability to get magazines anywhere whenever I needed them. I also liked the fact that it fit my hand well and it was the size that I could conceal in the waistband, which is my preferred method of carry. I needed something that was going to be very dependable to shoot. After all, I'd be staking my life on its dependability. I found that it has been through thousands and thousands of rounds just that, a very dependable firearm. Well, hey guys, it's David Drake, Dr. Drake 63 coming at you. And when I did my very first video about the Glock 19 Generation 5, it was October of 2017, so over 3.5 years ago. So this fall will be 4 years that I've been carrying that firearm. And in no way, based on my history up to that time, being picky with various types of carry choices, did I believe that this would be my everyday carry for that period of time. It's not only been my everyday carry since I first got it and ran it through its paces and made sure that I liked the way it shot and it was dependable with various types of ammo, so forth. I've never even been tempted to not want that as my carry piece or try other pieces and say, you know, I'm going to use these instead. Sometimes when you find something that works, you stick with it. And I have to say that I've been extremely impressed with everything about it. I'm not talking about the Glock 19 as a target pistol. I'm not talking about the Glock 19 as something that I personally am going to accessorize. I'm not going to put a reflex sight on it. In fact, I'm not even going to change the factory sights on it. The Glock 19 original factory trigger, this is the Generation 5. This is what I've left on this. I have not modified this firearm in any way whatsoever. And the reason is because for my uses, I haven't needed to. Glock's a great platform out of the box, and that's how I keep them. That's just me personally. Brief comment to the John Browning 1911. Polymer sucks, all steel, or it ain't real, guys out there. Okay, just a real quick note. Guys, this was designed 110 years ago and it's still a relevant design today. I imagine at the time that this came out that guys that were shooting the 1873 single action Army Colts took one look at this and said, you've got to be kidding. Slide that moves back and forth. How do you know that it's ready to shoot again? And what do you mean it you know, how does this trigger work? And if they actually saw the trigger and everything else, how could that be? Well, guess what? That's the same guys that are the old school, if it ain't metal, it ain't gonna work for me. Forget these plastic fantastics, polymers, everything else. I just have to get this out there. I guarantee you, I flat out guarantee you that if John Moses Browning could come back and talk to us today, he would say, wait a minute, there's faster and more precise machining processes. There's more replicatable processes than forged pieces, metal injection molding done right. Wow. There's lighter weight materials like polymers and things like that enables you to carry a firearm with more capacity. Wow. In other words, if you don't think John Moses Browning would have been all over new materials and done things above and beyond something that looked and felt like this, then I just have to tell you, you're wrong. There's guys that just don't like these, and I get it. But here's why I'm going to tell you that I think Glocks are great. Number one reason is they're dependable as hell. This thing will eat every kind of ammo I can put in it. It's shot just for kicks. I've ran aluminum casings through it, steel casings, no problems whatsoever. Have problems with those jamming with many other platforms. Number two, it has the least complicated, smoothest side profile. And why is that important? Because I'm carrying that in a holster just like this. You see how that works? And if it's coming out, if this needs to come out from underneath clothing, from underneath a jacket, from any number of things, I can't afford to have anything hang up. So the control surfaces need to be as absolutely easy to deal with as possible. Number three, you will never see a firearm more easy to take down than this. Clear, pull the trigger, pull your slide back about an 1/8 inch, equal pressure on both sides of that release mechanism, and here you are. Spring, barrel, slide. And we were talking about John Browning earlier. This is him, guys. The tilt barrel design that he introduced with the Browning High Power is the basis for just about every modern semi-automatic handgun. And he continued to innovate after he invented the 1911. Browning High Power was an extremely successful design that turned into a whole lot of things, including this. Fire control mechanisms, the only thing that's different. It's striker fired, which is an internal hammer, basically. Number four, shootability. The thing you want to remember about a self-defense situation is that you're probably not going to empty your magazine in the process of a self-defense situation. In fact, the average self-defense situation is less than 3 shots fired. Now, you might need to be prepared for that because averages are average. It might be a whole lot of ones and then a couple tens thrown through. But one of the things I like to do is practice double taps, triple taps, and mostly trying to be able to get control and assess the situation as opposed to how quick can I empty the magazine. Other thing that's real important is you want to talk and work with how fast can you unholster the firearm, because that's going to be part of your self-defense situation. If you never practice that, you're in trouble. I like these Kydex styles. They work really well for me, and I tend to carry these in a 4 or 5 o'clock position, depending on my dress. So every one of my rounds hit the target, no problem. The target is not even as wide as a human target would be from that distance. And I was able to control and assess the situation a little bit between the shots. And that's the kind of thing you want to work on. Now, this is something that has never been unreliable in any way, shape, or form with any ammo, in any manner of me shooting it. I've even tried limp wristing it and things like that to get it so that it would malfunction, and it just won't. So I call that a very good design. Would you want to target shoot with one of these, especially something with these really wide, highly visible in daylight type of sights? No, you'd want something that's got a tighter sight and gives you a more exact picture. This isn't a target pistol. And that's the thing I tell people all the time when they're talking about what kind of gun should I get for self-defense. They're always asking me it in terms of, well, this looks really cool, or this fires a really big round, or something of that nature. But what I don't hear a lot of is it something that I can comfortably carry and reliably shoot? And those are the most important things you have to assess. So this is what those shots look like. 15 shots coming out, and when I really wanted to take my time, you can see it's no problem being accurate. And most importantly, here from 7 Paces, minute a man every time, rapid fire or no. The other thing I'm going to do is use defensive rounds. These are the defensive rounds I carry. Okay, so these are 124 grain, they're plus P, they're hollow points, okay, spear gold dots. So I'm going to shoot these 15 rounds, and I'm going to shoot them just about as fast as I can. Again, we're going to see whether or not we can hit every single time on that target. So taking a look at this, starting at the top, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. At 7 Paces would have been pretty close to a center mass hit, definitely would have stopped the bad guy. Now, this or any carry piece has to fit your hand, which this does for me quite nicely. And it has to be something that makes sense for you. One of the things that I like about Glocks, but it's certainly not limited to Glocks, is the fact that there's so many accessories, especially something like the Glock 19, which is rapidly becoming one of the widest produced carry firearms in the world, if it isn't already. And so there's a whole myriad of in-the-waistband holsters and other accessories for you guys that want to do more than I do, Mr. Out-of-the-Box guy here. There's so many accessories available, but even besides that, if Mr. Out-of-the-Box guy here happens to have a problem with a spring or a part or anything that I need to keep the thing running, then I certainly can do that. Now, one of the things that I'll point out is you'll notice that on the Generation 5, there was a bevel here on the slide that wasn't on prior generations. And you'll notice that there's not a bevel on the frame. So there's this tiny little bit of a ledge there that's not a problem for me, but a lot of guys had problems with it. And so what Glock did was on later versions of the Generation 5, they fixed that. The big change with the Generation 5 was a highly improved trigger, in my opinion, a lot less spongy. And they got rid of these finger grooves, which didn't work for me. They worked for some guys. Of course, you've got a weapons light mount on the front, which I do sometimes put a light on this, depending on what circumstance I'm in. But obviously, if I'm carrying, I don't. I think the Glock 19, for me, is the ultimate carry piece. And I'm going to keep carrying this thing probably for years and years and years, unless there's a reason why I lose it or something. But I can honestly say that if I lost all my firearms today in that proverbial boating accident, if they all disappeared and I had to go out and replace that first firearm, the very first one I would replace would be my Glock 19. It'd be the very first thing I'd replace. Probably followed by a struggle mentally between an AR, a shotgun, or a bolt-action hunting rifle. I mean, I'd have to have them all because I have uses for all of them. And that's one thing I'll just finish up with. This is a tool for me, guys. This isn't my most fun or accurate gun to shoot at the range. This isn't the firearm that I think, wow, I want to take a bunch of pictures of this Glock. It's so sexy. This isn't the thing that I can't wait to go shoot again. It's not. It's a tool, and that's exactly why I bring it to you as such. It is the best tool that I have for concealed carry self-defense. I'm going to leave you with this. You see a lot of guys go to the range and they practice slowly bringing up their pistol, and they take a shot, and they look, and they take another shot, and maybe they'll take 5 shots or 10 shots, and then they'll bring their target in from 7 or 10 yards, and they'll look at the pattern and know, I can do better than that. The whole time standing straight up and taking their time. And these aren't target shooters. Most of them aren't anyway. These aren't guys practicing for league or international pistol or any of those things. These are guys that went out and bought what they view as a self-defense firearm, but they're doing nothing to prepare for a self-defense scenario. And I have to say, if you're going to buy a firearm for self-defense, you have to practice shooting it in circumstances that somewhat mimic the kind of circumstance that you'd actually use it in. Now, I've never had to. I'll bet next to nobody watching this, and I say next to, nobody watching this video has either. And most of us never will. But should that time come, are you prepared with the right kind of reaction? Do you have your pistol on you, or is it in your glove box out in the car? Have you practiced unholstering it? And have you practiced getting multiple shots on target very quickly? Have you practiced doing all of that within a couple seconds? Because give or take some fractions, that's how much time you have. If you just do what you do at the range and take your time and look things over, I have bad news for you, my friend. You're probably going to be dead. Food for thought. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you watching. This is David Drake, Dr. Drake 63, saying take care, practice, shooting. See you next time.